Welcome back, baseball fans. Another elimination video. We're going to eliminate the St. Louis Cardinals. They played an interesting schedule. They played tough all year. Uh, they are in a tough situation in a division with the Reds and Pirates when we know what they would be doing in the 1970s. And it's just that the Cardinals and Cubs are going to have to fight like crazy to get past the Reds and Pirates. Oddly enough, they got past the Pirates by sweeping them four straight, but it didn't matter a whole lot. They finished 19-19. Their season ended in Atlanta with Bob Gibson giving up a solo homer to Darrell Evans and the Cardinals unable to score a run. They have to do it with pitching. They have good pitching 2 years in a row. They were about 3 under 500 last year, a little bit better this year, but they just need to be literally perfect to get to the playoffs. They weren't quite perfect. This team had some nice performances, though. Dwayne Anderson was short-term shortstop prospect at 352 for them. A nice year with a batting average. Jose Ortiz lived up to his pinch hitting card. Joe Torre hit over 300, but his card is 363. So we'll use that one more time next year. Hopefully he'll get it back up to 350 or something like that. Bill Sadakis was a nice find. He was a Dodger, but they signed him as a utility player and a guy who was a pinch hitter, but can be a DH in our era. 291 hitter, 12 homer, 29 RBI. Lou Brock was fine, 23 stolen bases, a 349 on base. Ted Simmons disappointed, hitting just 253, and that was about it for the offense. 272 average is nice, but only 31 home runs in 38 games. For the pitching, the All-Star was Bob Gibson. Had a really nice year, threw a no-hitter, was an All-Star, 9 complete games. The record is deceiving of 7-5. He pitched outstanding all year long at Bob Gibson. We'll have his card for 2 more years. A 2.39 ERA and a 1.13 WHIP for Bob. And threw a no-hitter against the Houston team that would go to the playoffs. He was complete game loser in the round of 3 versus Houston to Phil Niekro, and that's how this year ended for him, which was sad. Al Raboski, 8 saves with his first card in the league, a 73 card. Brilliant, 53-cent ERA for him. We had some struggles with Wayne Simpson and Steve Barber, you see at the bottom there. And, it really was a successful year for the Cardinals. Let's take a look now at the Cardinals stack. It really was a successful year for them, getting to 500, sweeping the Pirates and helping that the Pirates didn't go to the playoffs. We're going to pull out 8 1970 players and see what their futures are going to be, and see the 12 guys who they'll begin next year with. So these are the 8 players that we're pulling out, and we'll address them later in the video. But we'll take a look at who's coming back for the Cardinals next year. How do they build on it? How do they get past the Reds and Pirates? Or they got past the Pirates, technically. How do they get past the Reds? Or how do they go further and get into the playoffs? Well, they're going to have to do it with a ton of batters. They have 8 hitters and only 4 pitchers coming back. So as far as the hitting goes, we have, let's start with, we have Simmons catching. Bob Berta can be a DH pinch hitter, but he can also play some first base if needed. And Mike Tyson can play second base. We do have Julian Javier on the 70 list. Joe Torre at third. They did have Dwayne Anderson play short. He's not very good defensively, but he hits righties very well, and you saw he had a big year offensively. And we do have Lou Brock coming back. We could put Ortiz in center field. He can play there, and he does hit close to 300. Nice card for him. And Beauchamp, well, he's frankly better suited to platoon at DH. Berta and Beauchamp, most notably pinch hitters, could now be a pinch hitting platoon. For the pitching staff, Bob Gibson and Rick Wise come back to anchor the pitching staff. Starter 9s and 8s. They needed to find a left-handed starter. Steve Barber, interestingly, a relief 3 starter 6. You could theoretically put him as a starter since you have Rabowski as a lefty in the bullpen. So you have some flexibility with Barber, lefty relief starter 6, or leave him in the bullpen. Well, let's take a peek at what they do with their 1970 players. Okay, we're going to take a peek at these 1970 players. They're going to be a split of 4 hitters and 4 pitchers for the Cardinals. First hitter, and we have some guys who really weren't with the team. Jim Gosger. Played from 63 to 74. Kansas City A, Boston, Kansas City, Oakland, Seattle Pilot, New York Met in 69 for 15 at-bats, Expo in 70 and 71, 3 and 4. Cardinals got him in the token round of the draft because he had a 721 OPS, was a left-handed bat, pretty decent fielding outfielder, decent kind of platoon kind of player. In 71, his stats are pretty bad. He may qualify for waivers. 73 and 74 aren't very good either. Does he qualify for waivers is the question. And we'll go to Gary's roster page, superd.tripod.com. 71, see if he's with the Expos. Jim Gosger as an outfielder, infielder. And he's not listed there. Montreal, no Jim Gosger. That's going to be the end of his. Well, they might have made his card for 73 and 4, though I doubt it as well. But we're going to retire him because he can't qualify for waivers. Jim Gosger, the first guy to leave the Cardinals. Next up, we have Julian Javier, longtime second baseman. And look at that. It's going to go Julian Javier this way. There we go. 60 to 72 with the Cards. And he would play. Well, I'll go to the Reds in 72. So his 71 card is available. And it's about the same as the 70 card. So based on his long-time tenure with the Cardinals, let's keep him. And if they find somebody better than Julian Javier, great. If not, settle for him, is the way I look at it. Next player, Adolfo Phillips. How many Adolfos are there? Whoops, Adolfo like that. There he is, he's all by himself. From 64 to 72. He played for the Phillies and the Cubs and then the Expos. And his career will be over. You see 70. We like the 730 OPS and the high on base percentage. Drew a lot of walks. But his career is over as he retires. So Adolfo Phillips. No big loss for the Cardinals. They weren't even associated with him. And those were just token extra player free agents they signed in the offseason. Now the next guy who contributed quite a bit is Bill Sadakis, who was actually a Dodger in 70. And we look at his timeline, you see he's not associated with the Cardinals either. But of the 3 guys, Gosger and Phillips and Sadakis, they liked Sadakis, bringing some power to St. Louis in 70. Now, he's got some nice cards coming up in 73 with Texas, 814 OPS. And I'm thinking the Cardinals are going to kind of take a look in the mirror and go, you know what, we got to hold on to this guy. We need some power. We know he can DH, can play catcher, can play first base. If the phone rings and the Rangers come calling for him, or maybe the Yankees come calling for him, yeah, so be it. But for now, we want to keep Bill Sadakis. We want to keep a hitter. And he has a better stick than Javier. This is a nice card here in 73. That would be the card you take. And so, yeah, Bill Sadakis is going to stick around St. Louis a little longer. All right, next player, Danny Combs. He actually didn't have a Cardinal association either. A lot of the Cardinal players, he was a Houston player and a Padre player. This was his year in 70. It was a pretty nice year. In 71, he's pretty bad with the Padres as he have a card for those 71 ones and get waivers. And let's look at the San Diego pitchers. Yep, he qualifies for waivers, so let's put him there. He's going to be one of the weaker players on waivers, but that's okay. Because if we have too many waivered players, we push the worst ones into retirement. So we'll put Danny Combs on waivers. Next player is Wayne Simpson. Another guy the Cardinals went out of the organization to find, just trying to fill the roster up. Because the roster was decimated. They got him from the Reds. Then they used the great Simpson card of 70, the All-Star. A guy who was hurt and did not play in the 70 World Series against Baltimore. Maybe it would have made a big difference for the Reds. And after that injury, he never was quite the same. Does qualify for waivers in 71, and I think that's where the Cardinals will place him. Cardinals want to have a good pitching staff, and Danny Combs and Wayne Simpson are not going to help. They really aren't. They like Gibson, they like Wise, they like Barber and Rabowski having two lefties. So let's continue down the pitching path. The next guy, Ted Abernathy. And he had some nice years here in the bullpen. A long career for Ted Abernathy. Washington, Cleveland, Atlanta, Cincinnati, the Cubs. Cubs in 69, and then 70, he was a Cardinal for 18 innings. And a Cub. And also, he pitched for one other team in 1970. Oh, yeah. Kansas City. He pitched for the Kansas City Royals. So in 71, he still has a card. He's got cards in 71 and 72 with Kansas City. So, you know what? Since St. Louis has had all of these, Gosgers and Adolfo Phillips, they don't have a problem with taking other players' good guys. So they're going to hold on to Abernathy. Much like they held on to Sadakis. They don't have an association, but they're good. And they want to build on their pitching. And Abernathy, even at age 38 and 39, has good years in 71 and 72. And the last guy on the list is Chuck Taylor. Now he pitched for St. Louis, but he would move on from them. Chuck Taylor played for St. Louis in 69 and 70 and 71, and he moves on after that to the Mets, Milwaukee, and the Expos. He's a keeper. He has really some nice years moving up. His ERA, he'll play all the way through 76. So they're definitely going to keep him. 71 for St. Louis is a good year. And that makes 4 keepers. So they are technically set. They can sit around and let the phone ring and answer it. But they could go into the draft this way with 4 keepers, 2 waivers, and 2 retires. That's the proper numbers. The phone might ring for Bill Sadakis because that's a great switch-hitting slugger. And the phone might ring for one of those relievers, Taylor, Abernathy, because they're pretty good relievers. But the Cardinals, that's reasonable for them. Again, it's pretty average for a average team in this timeline. Thanks for checking out this video. We'll see you next time.